It's a unique and nostalgic look at the scope of the movie industry's role in World War II, when Showbiz goes to war on 8 p.m.
If you're looking for a mountain hideaway in Colorado this summer, you could try Aspen or Vail, or one of the other well-known spots. But if we may, let us suggest the small town of Ouray. Ouray is an old mining community wedged into the rugged San Juan Mountains of southwestern Colorado, an area they call the Switzerland of America. When you visit, we would further suggest that you spend around $50 a night and stay in an ancient Victorian hotel like the St. Elmo. It'll help you get a feel for the old mining days and provide you with a jumping-off point for your daily ventures out into the mountains. Number one on your list of things to do should be a Jeep tour along some of these treacherous old mining roads. Other parts of Colorado may get more publicity, but there are many who say this part of the state is the prettiest. About an hour's drive away, you'll find the often lively atmosphere of Telluride, another old mining town surrounded by a box canyon and the scary plunge of Bridal Veil Falls. You might want to time your visit to take in one of the many annual festivals held here. This Bluegrass Festival, for example, takes place in the last week of June. One of the most spectacular side trips out of Ouray or any other town is aboard the famous narrow-gauge Silverton train. Silverton is less than an hour from Ouray, and if you like your scenery scary as well as beautiful, you'll want to climb aboard. This is one of several man-made lakes in the Ozark Mountains of northern Arkansas. Ever since the need for hydroelectric power created these picturesque playgrounds, people of all ages have been enjoying down-to-earth good times in these parks. Greer's Ferry Lake, about 70 miles straight north of Little Rock, is a good example. Above the dam, you'll find hundreds of miles of recreational shoreline, with plenty of room for all kinds of water sports and lots of clean, well-organized campsite locations. Below the dam, you'll find the cool, peaceful flow of the Little Red River. In the early morning, before the fog burns away, the trout fishing here is especially good. Our group wasn't all that fortunate, but trout well over 10 pounds have been caught here. When it's time to take a break from fishing, we'd recommend a trip to the Ozark Folk Center in Mountain View. This is a place where the old Ozark ways are being preserved, a place where you can see everything from horseshoes to quilts, still being made the old-fashioned way by local mountain people. Music is also very big here in the Mountain View area. You can hear the anonymous performers at the Folk Center, or somebody like Grandpa himself at the Grandpa Jones Dinner Theater. If you come looking for ritzy accommodations here in the Ozarks, you won't have any trouble finding them. They are here. But we'd recommend a campsite, something a bit truer to the spirit of this place. After all, what could be nicer in the late afternoon than taking care of some knitting or going to work on the next day's fishing lure and watching the kids take one last dive? The Ozarks, if you can't relax here, you likely never will. Lake Tahoe has something for everybody. The great outdoors for the fresh air crowd and a strip of smoke-filled casinos for the gamblers. To give you an idea, we're going to outline a typical day for you. We'd recommend you start your day at Frank's on the South Shore. Giant breakfast, fast, friendly service, and reasonable prices in a down-to-earth atmosphere. We then go out onto the lake itself on one of these 2-hour cruises to Emerald Bay. It'll cost you about $8, but it's worth the price. This isn't just another lake, and the view from the water will give you a very clear look at the surrounding landscape. In the afternoon, we'd suggest a trip to the North Shore for some horseback riding, or a visit to the old Ponderosa, where Ben Cartwright and the boys used to shoot some of their old scenes from Bonanza. The North Shore has a much slower pace than the South Shore. Fewer casinos, less traffic, and more time to just take it easy. As we said, though, variety is the spice of life here in Lake Tahoe. And if you've had your fill of fresh air and wholesome fun, South Lake Tahoe has plenty of alternatives. How about some red leather luxury for dinner to contrast with your homespun breakfast earlier in the day? Or a chance to show off your gambling expertise at the blackjack tables. It's all part of the variety which makes Lake Tahoe such a complete experience. The mountains of western North Carolina are made for driving and for all kinds of camping and outdoor fun. And there's no better place to have at 'em from than Asheville. In fact, there's quite a bit of history and fun right around Asheville itself. Thomas Wolfe once wrote that you can't go home again. And if that's true, here in Asheville, you can visit the preserved home Wolfe could not return to. The most famous home here is the Biltmore House and Gardens, the gigantic home of George Washington Vanderbilt. A complete tour of this estate will cost adults around $12. But this is probably a bit closer to what a typical visitor would expect here in the mountain country. This is Bill Stanley's Barbecue and Bluegrass, the place to come if you have clogging shoes and a case of mountain happy feet. All of this music and history evolved in the picturesque landscapes of the Blue Ridge and Smoky Mountains in places like Maggie Valley. This is a place where the food comes out of the oven southern fried and the entertainment western tried and true. This is what some people would call the tacky side of these parts, but it appears to be part and parcel of what makes western North Carolina a favorite destination for family vacationers. The great outdoors and plenty to do for all ages. Always loved mountaintops, but never cared for the drudgery of climbing all the way from the bottom, perhaps this is the way to go. They call it hella hiking up here in Western Canada, and it's a simple but brilliant idea. You start things off by taking a bus to a place like the Bugaboo Lodge in the Purcell Mountains west of Calgary. Then using the lodge as a base camp, you spend several days taking trips up into the mountains, jumping out of the helicopter only after you've found some suitable scenery. The guides up here serve double duty. They handle all the yodeling, and they also take you hiking on foot once the helicopter drops you off. Depending on the day's agenda, you'll see everything from ice fields and blue bottomless pits to the relatively safe greenery of a mountain meadow. This kind of hiking with mountaintop taxi service doesn't come cheap. A week-long stay up here will cost you $1,000 and up per person, but that includes all meals, transportation from Calgary, and whenever you want it, a free shower of melted snow. Woohoo! Heli hiking isn't for everybody. Despite the helping hand from the helicopters, you'll get more than your share of exercise and sore muscles. And sometimes the catering services will tend towards the basic. But if you're into it and you like nature at its most basic and inaccessible, the beauty of these mountains should be all the reward.
I'm going to ask you in there what I asked you yesterday. Have you investigated it?
I have not.
Well, I have. I got this yesterday.
Well, read your file to somebody else. I'm marrying a woman, not a set of statistics. Go on, add up your indecent little twos and twos, Mr. Elliott. Prove whatever you like. But this is a woman I love. And there's no arithmetic this side of heaven I'll listen to.
But sometimes in the skyscraper jungle of the business world, even a man of principle must listen to a man of power like George Salt, a role which offers a striking dramatic departure for Burl Ives.
When a woman with a history like hers is called both a prostitute and a nameless refugee, what could you say? How could you disprove it? According to our Constitution, Cliff, the Board of Directors must act on the resignation of the Vice Chairman.
I've not resigned.
But you will. I am a creature of power. I pursue it totally, and I obey it totally. You pursue it partially. So you fail, and in failing, you're a threat to me. Either resign, Cliff, or I must destroy you.
There can't be two refugees, not in one family. You must not run. You mustn't.